Hi guys, in this demo we're going to look at something else. So what we've got is a whole bunch of macros, right? Sprite, music, track, print, joystick. I think track doesn't work quite the same as it used to, but basically it ties in with music, and I'll refine that later. Let's just show you things like character sets and getting them up, and also the Vic node and how that works. So I'm going to throw in the Vic node just to show you what happens here and a bit of explaining about how the Vic sort of works. So the Commodore 64 has these banks. Now I've not actually shown it here, but in a newer version I've separated these into their sections. So it's basically 0 to 3FFF, right? Just where you see this bitmap is kind of where I like to load my bitmaps, right? So that's bank 1, and then 4000 to 7FFF, just before 8000, that's bank 2, and then 8 to C, and then C to FFFF. Now this is all kind of locked away. You can unlock it, but it means you don't have access to certain things like kernel and character ROM, I think. So you just have to be careful. It depends what you're trying to make, right? If you need to lock that, unlock that or not, and what it might break. And this is all locked away. There's some really important stuff there, but there's some 0-page values that you can use as well. But this is all kind of hard-coded stuff. Again, 1000 is where I like to load my music. 3000 is where I like to put some variables or code. 4000 bitmap, sprites up here. There's room for various things as well. So after the screen RAM has been transferred to D800, this kind of frees up, but yeah, it depends on the order of code, and it only makes sense if you're kind of loading stuff in after you've displayed it. You hit a bit of code that then rewrites this section. It's not so easy when you compile directly from here, because it will just overlap things and give you the finished product with all the overlaps built into it. So it's kind of different from the mindset of loading a tape or a disk, which is something that's going to come in the future once I've done everything else. So come back to the Vic thing. There's these different modes. Now you can try these out. You can see it's looking for a character set at 2000, so you'd have to add a character set, and luckily enough I do have one. So let's just load a file, and I should have character sets, this one, and it's just a basic one that I've set up. Loads of spare empty blocks. Now you don't edit the tiles here, you would edit them in something like CarPad. That's what I use for that. So with that loaded, you still need to tell it what, even though you've got the address here, which you can change based on the Vic bank. So if you're in Vic bank 1, this, you know, you can load it into different locations there. It likes to be in a certain slot as well, so that's all kind of handled here. So I'll just tell that 2000 is where my character set is going to be. The screen RAM for this Vic bank is 400 off the base, right? So the base is 0000. You see how it's that there, and so on. That's kind of how it works, I think. Because the Vic can only see, like, everything to do with the display, it can only see 16K at a time, right? So it's split into 4. So I've been working down here, this sort of section. Put that back to 2000. Text mode and background border. But now we've got our character set, but we need to show a map. So we add an asset, map data, and we've got a simple map that I've made here. It knows it's not 40 by 25, so it's asking me what it is, 80 by 25. Now it should look like this. I don't know if this is a broken version, but a lot of things got fixed in places, so I'm going to try and test this. So what we need to do is say character set, and then choose our car set, whatever we've named it here. If we change the name here, it will not update here, right? So you have to like re-choose it. Later I'll automate that so it just updates. And then you need to put your map in. So again, just reference your map. So it's going to switch the Vic bank. It's going to set the border background what you want. It's going to load in your character set from your assets and your map data. Now you can see here this section here is actually your map data. Right, your map data lives up at 8000. It tells you here, right? And the color information for every tile is here as well. So there's a reference for, it just scans, right? You don't need an X and Y, it just scans and plots what tile that is, right? So, and then every one of those needs a color as well. So it's just the same amount of data. So that's your characters and that's your color. And that's all loaded in. And that all gets transferred to 0400 at runtime. Like sort of sends it there through this script. So that's your character set, and this is the code here. Now that should be it, but you need to be able to hang you go into a game loop essentially. So you press A for a address label, and then jump, and you can look up that target. So just hang here. It means that it won't go back to the ready prompt, right? That's kind of how that works. I'm going to save this because I always save before anything. It won't crash this software, but there's a chance it could come up an error, right? If something's not been finalized yet. So let's look at this one. This will be called demo. Well, it's multiple things. It's the Vic, the car set and maps. I'll just do car map. Right, and hit F5. Right, it is a broken version. It's unfortunate. So it means that this particular version can't handle the bigger map sizes. So this one's locked. So let me just open CarPad to make something up, because I do need to be able to demonstrate this properly. Now I did have a project. This one. Right. It's the same set, but the screen isn't, it's 40 by 25. That's the one I should be testing with, so I'll be sure to supply that and export binary. Eventually I'll export as the actual information that's got all the color in it. I don't know if I think I started it, but I don't think it's finished. So you'll have to export the 8-bit map and then recolor it later. So I'll call this map test binary, because binary won't hold their color information. I just forget if I've supported it for import yet. I've not been testing that. So map data load file. You can see this is gone weird for some reason. It needs to be updated like that. Okay, so let's find our map test. There we go. So it's the shorter map. It's 40 by 25. It might still freak out because this has been programmed with it. Yeah, there we go. It's programmed with 80 by 25. So I have to throw that out and go for the map again. 40 by 25. Yeah, okay, that's now fine, and I think it should work. Yeah, that's fine now. So then what you would do is go into this and you can color it, right? To color, you choose a color and hold down Alt, and you're more or less just painting stuff. I should make it so that you can change the background here as well. I think I mentioned in a video before, but I'm just going to go ahead and take a bit of time to paint this up and my little ladders and stuff. Put some a little bit of variation in these. Right, and then my platforms. So I'm just holding down Alt is basically how I'm doing it. You can also like update your maps here as well, add more tiles and stuff. You can zoom in and you can middle mouse scroll about. Well, I just pressed it without pressing control. These were just little markers to make sure it appeared, so I'll just I'll blank them out. So if you don't know how to hold down, it'll draw like this with the color. There's no undo yet. There's no picker yet either. These are all things that as I use it, I'll start to add, but I'll get all the core stuff done first. Let's color these. Let's do the little grassy bits. Why not? Little grassy edge. A Bob Ross moment, happy accidents. Right, and then maybe I just want a little bit of tone variation on these, so I can do little highlights like that, or yeah, whatever. Grays, like, yeah, little subtle things. Let's see, what's brighter than orange? Purple. Yeah. And then these can all be like metallic, sort of. You've come out of some sort of underground base or something. I don't know, I was just throwing stuff in there for good measure just to see, get a feel for what might work. Yeah, I could use a bit more tile variation, but there you go, that's kind of that. So if you did want to add more tiles, you could. So just choose a color, and yeah, I could add another one of those in. Don't know if these are, what are these based off? No idea. Yeah, just do whatever's here. Right, so that just automatically saves, and save your file. Right, hit F5. Hopefully it's not messed up. Always when I test these things, when I'm doing videos, I get a surprise. Yay. So this version, V068, only works with maps that are 40 by 25. But what I'll do is I will fix those bugs, and what I'll actually do is like give the demo will be like version 0.77 or something. Once the scrolling's finished, that'll be the new demo version, and that'll be locked, right? That I won't do any more than that for a demo. The full version will have everything in there. I'll just keep updating it, but it will be like pay $4.99 minimum, just so that I can be funded to do this. But yeah, we'll see where that goes. But anyway, that's working. Again, you just start introducing sprites or whatever you want to do. But that's great to me. Just being able to quick and easy just make this work. And now I'm just going to press F5 just so you can see the machine code that it generates and everything in memory, because it's just nice extra information for you guys. So we'll activate the monitor and do DOAOE. That's where the program starts. It's a basic header before that, which is an SYS command to make the game run, which literally every game does. So we'll do to 08CE, and you can see what it's doing there. Right, I'll try and explain some of it. So background change, clearly interrupt, DDOO is the Vic bank. It's setting it as, it's flagging it with a 3. So it's switching it out for a different mode, and storing that. DO18 is the character set mode, I think. LDA 1B, DO11, and 16. Forget what they actually do. Yeah, this past my brain now. It's something to do with the map anyway. It's something to do with how it's setting up the character sets potentially. It's changing the background color again based on these. The DO18 there is the 18 to DO18, right? That's what that is. It's something to do with the character set selection, if I remember right. Then it's finished, so it clears the interrupt there, and then this is starting to populate the screen with the characters. Basically, nothing in there. Load it, start to get what's in the map data and put that into screen and increase X, so it's just scanning until it's got to the end. If it's not equal, it goes to the next section, because it can only do it in like sections of so many characters that it can hold. 255 groups, but there's 1024 characters, so it does that in 4 different passes. This could probably be optimized a more modular way, potentially, because it's a loop with an offset, but this is the way that I know how to do it so far. I don't know if that's just the done way. Then this is copying the color data, the same sort of idea, right? So it's referencing the characters and stuff. In fact, what is the color data? That's the color data of the character set. So 0, 2000. So it's getting the character set and storing it into. Yeah. ST is 0 and 1. Yeah, I don't know exactly what this is. I just basically find code and I throw it in there, and if it works, it works. And I'll try and explain it more in detail later. But that's basically what it's doing there. It's writing the data to screen. I think that must be the character set that's loading into the character ROM, is what I think it's doing. Don't know if there's a OS vectors is 200. So yeah, I'm not too sure if that's what that is. It seems to be. Once it's done, branch note echo. Like once it's done, it basically goes back to the self loop. So it's just jumping to itself. Right. If anyone cares to explain that in detail, someone who knows this stuff, I'm happy to learn from the immersion sort of side of it. Like again, I'm just finding code and putting in there kind of vagueness and relearning old stuff. I did used to study it, but I never really had the means to practice it. Like the demo scene, I was a bit too young for that. Not even 10 years old or whatever. But now it's more fun. So anyway, that's that. That basically is what that does. Oh, I want to show you the data as well. In fact, what I can do is look at that. Let's just do what's that? It doesn't make sense because it's loading into 000, X, so I don't know if it's a certain addressing mode that I've used. But yeah, maybe it's taking the 2000 with it. So it's going from 2000. I think it is. I think it's from 2000. That makes more sense because that's where I've loaded the data. I'm not touching any of these. I think it's like an offset. It's a different kind of mode, a different relative addressing mode. Yeah, I mean this is basically. It's better to look at it this way with M. So 2. Right. That is basically looking like, yeah. Because that first 8 is my blank one, and then FF, that first tile, is basically one of these. It's full at the top, FF 6B. So these are my tiles, right? That's what it is. It's loaded in my character data to a relative offset of 2000. That's a different addressing mode. That's why it gets confusing. Like, was it loading it in down there? I don't think so. That would crash the crap out of it. So then. So yeah, that mode is there. That addressing style is there. It's I think it's one of these ABS. So you get your immediates and your LDA absolutes with X or something. Or I really need to make this more explainable. I think my nodes don't really explain very well what these actually do or mean. And it's just been a kind of get everything out and working first, and then I'll redesign things later to be more legible. but that's that. And then if you wanted to look at 8000, so you can do M8000 to 847F. It's higher than that. 87FF. Alright. That's basically, before you get to the junk, that's basically, oh yeah, color data. So you see it, the color data only goes up to F, but then there's like some junk here. Color data from 400. Yeah, then this is all my tiles that make up the screen. You can kind of see some sort of patterns, like loads of space, 2A, 2C. So yeah, these only go up to like 30 odd tiles, which is what I have in my character set. So yeah, that's kind of how it works. It's just data's been transferred about. This data's been transferred into the screen RAM. This is obviously the character set. It's been loaded into the relative, the right location as well. And that's all handled here. You can see number of bytes things take up, number of cycles. This might be inaccurate, but for people that need to sort of cycle count to know if they're hitting the raster line, these might not be accurate yet. Also, I don't have any cycle count for this in this version. That got fixed, I'm pretty sure, in a newer one. But that is then how you would do that. So I'm going to put a box around there, and I'll call this single map demo, and you'll get everything with this. So the character set and everything should all come with it. If I save this again and do car map, and then I look in that folder, bitmaps, there's no sprites, there's no SID, no bitmaps, so there's nothing really needed in there. It's all embedded into the file itself, 61 kilobytes worth. So that's pretty much that. I'll throw that up and move on to the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.